Hi, I'm Dayley and welcome to Dayley's Life Coaching channel. I'm going to review Hallmark Christmas movies, and the reason I do this is because I love Hallmark Christmas movies and I didn't get to watch any last year, and so this is the way I'm working it into my routine this holiday season. First, I'm going to give a summary of the movie, and then I will talk about some life coaching things and give my final review. So here we go. Today's movie is Never Been Kissed, and it has two best friends, Liz and Naomi. They grew up together in a small town. They left the small town after high school, and then they moved out to the West Coast, and they have a tech company that developed an app. And so they sort of became small town famous for their achievement and what they did. And so this Christmas they are going back home because Naomi's mom, usually they go with her to Hawaii for Christmas, but this year she wanted to have a more traditional Christmas, and she stays home, or they both go back home. And Liz's parents are also in this town and they celebrate Hanukkah, and so she was in town to spend Hanukkah with them, and Naomi was spending Christmas with her mom. We learned that the background of this whole storyline is about the main popular guy in high school, whose name is Chris Silver, who is now an English teacher. And he was super popular. Just about every girl had a crush on him. And so everyone still sort of has a little bit of those nostalgic feelings as they go through this movie. And it's the whole setting is about high school stuff, how they did this in high school, that in high school, and what it was like for them in high school. And so the idea with Chris Silver is if a girl went out with him, she instantly became super popular, and they called that she was Chrised. So that's where the title of the movie comes from. And Never Been Kissed, specifically pertaining to Naomi and Liz, means that they actually never went out with Chris Silver, and they feel like they were always very unpopular. They weren't with the cool kids. So that's how this whole movie is sort of set up and revolves around that. And in Hallmark movie style, there is a romance, there is a couple that gets together, and everything sort of works out. So now I will talk about they did a lot of Christmas things in this movie. So they have a holiday party at Chris Silver's house that he invites for like cocktails and appetizers. There's a Christmas karaoke. They go ice skating. There's a jingle ball, reminiscent throwback to their high school days. Liz has a Hanukkah party on one of the nights of Hanukkah at her parents' house. What else? There's also a gingerbread cocktail event that they go to. So there's a lot of Christmas things thrown in there as well. Let's see. I think that's it. So I want to get off before I even watched this movie. Just from seeing the previews, my first impression was, so both of them have a crush on this guy. How is that even gonna work? Is he gonna go out with both of them, knowing that there's gonna be a romance involved somehow? And I thought, this just seems really weird. I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then the actor, which I usually don't like to comment on the actor, I really want to stay to the characters, but I have to say this time, this actor, he's not one of my favorites, and I'll tell you why. Because the characters he usually plays in previous Hallmark movies I've seen, he's usually that rough-edged, kind of aggressive, like downer, and he's usually so grumpy and like the lazy, not want to put any effort into anything. And I guess I'm specifically referring to last year. So I guess I did see one movie, The Three Wise Men and a Baby, where he played like the really grumpy, but sometimes his characters tend to have that kind of vibe. And so I kind of wasn't too enthusiastic about watching this movie with two girls having a huge crush on him, and, or I shouldn't say girls, women. And I thought, this is just, it's gonna seem so weird. However, when I started watching it, right away you see that Liz and Naomi, they live right next to each other. They bought their little condos right next to each other, like in Palo Alto. And so it's cute. You see they're totally like closer than sisters. They are so close to each other and love each other so much. And when they go back home, they say, do you think we'll meet anyone from, they're like, no. Even if we met Chris, he lives in Chicago somewhere, and they don't think they'll bump into him. And right away at the airport, they bump into him and they're like, oh, hi, yeah. And, or maybe it's not the airport, but a cafe, maybe airport or a cafe in town. And he's like, hey, it's me, Chris. And the way they act, it's like so like deer in the headlights, like they don't know what to do. And it's so funny, like they're giggly, and it's that whole high school energy that they have, but it is hilarious. And then they start, and then when they go ice skating, Liz fantasizes, she's skating by herself with him because Naomi doesn't skate very well, and so she says, I'm just gonna sit this one out, you guys go. And so they do, and then Liz fantasizes kissing him while they have a conversation, and then she's standing there, she's like, okay, well, maybe we should go check on, so it's that whole like awkward sort of teenager things that they do, and it's just hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing, and there were so many times where things like that happen. And when they went to the gingerbread mocktail event, he invited the two of them, and he would talk to one would go get something, and then the other one would go get something. So he spent time with both of them. So you see how both of them are just like so in love with him. And then they come back and they say a cheers with their little eggnogs, and he's like, here's to us. And then he says, I'm gonna go get some more something or what, candy or whatever. And they look at each other and they're like, this isn't weird, right? It's not weird. No, it's not weird. And they have their glasses and they cheers, and they're like, oh, it's so weird. And it's just hysterical to me. That's just so hysterical to me. So it's like they are acting like little girls in high school, and yet they're adult women who have become successful in their own right, and they're still having all these weird high school like feelings and anxiousness. And I think it's so hilarious. Eventually he does end up asking Naomi and him end up being together and having that romance. And I didn't know how that was gonna work out, and if Liz was gonna be upset and all these things. But you could see the connection, how it was developing with Naomi, and then once they did connect, it became more. And I think he did a good job of overcoming my initial skepticism. He played a very nice guy in the movie, and very thoughtful and present, and very unlike his other characters. Everyone's into Christmas cheer in this movie, or holiday spirits this movie, and so there's none of that dilemma. The main dilemmas in this movie really are more about where the romance is secondary. and it's more about the friendship and how they might have been outgrowing one another, and they might need to do separate things in their business because they co-own this company, and towards the end they get the offer to sell it, and they decide to do that and do something separate from each other because they've been together since high school doing these things together. So it was more about how they needed to grow in their relationship and about them, and I really liked that. The other dilemmas that they have are really with their moms, and that was more of the focus of what was sort of eating at them through this movie. So for Naomi, her mom is very, so that I'm going to get into, this is more life coaching I'm going to talk now, is she's very, very enmeshed with her mom. Her mom really treats her like a friend and not a daughter. And Naomi decides that she needs to start setting some healthy boundaries around her mom. And her mom doesn't quite see that, doesn't get it, and she has to start getting really forceful. So one of the things, if I was life coaching Naomi, I would ask her, you know, what type, if you're not happy with the relationship that you have now with your mom, what type of relationship do you envision yourself seeing? What does that look like for you? And Naomi doesn't really get into that in the movie so much. She just knows that she doesn't want her mom to move in with her in Palo Alto. So her mom wanted to sell the house at their hometown and move in with her daughter in Palo Alto where she works. And that was all the extent the movie really covered. But I think a starting point for her would be that question: what type of relationship and how do you see yourself having a relationship with your mom? That would be a coaching question. Now, for Liz, she has a tendency to be passive aggressive with her mother, and that's because she feels very left out. Her parents got divorced. Her mom remarried. She has another younger sister, and it wasn't clear if that younger sister was from the new marriage or from the previous marriage with Liz, and it's not quite clear. I believe it's from the new marriage, but she feels like her mom is just only about the new family and leaving Liz out. And Liz's mom really, she tries to connect with Liz, but she doesn't do a very good job at it. So then she also in turn ends up being a bit passive aggressive with Liz as well. So they both have their own things they need to work on. But for Liz, as life coaching would go, I would say or ask her, why do you feel you need to say those things to your mom? Or if you could really say the things you wanted to your mom, what would they be in a very honest way? So that she wouldn't be talking about things in that passive aggressive way, because that's kind of on the surface layer that she's kind of masking. So I would ask her, what is the truth of what you're feeling? Like, what is it you're really feeling, and how would you like to say that to your mom? So that's how I would address life coaching with Liz. And I think those are the big sort of life coaching issues in that movie in regards to the two main characters, which in this instance are Naomi and Liz, and not the romantic guy with Chris and Naomi. So my overall rating for this, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious, if you can't tell just by my review so far and my summary. It was hysterical. It cracked me up. It was a little different how it focused on the friendship more than the romance, and I liked that too. And there was just enough romance to make everything sort of feel exciting and wonderful as well. So I would give this a 5 out of 5. If you like this, please subscribe. I'll be doing more review videos, and I hope you enjoy and join me for the rest of the movies. Bye.